races of flat-out action, we've made it here to the USA, and I've been having a blast in California. Enough of that, this is the site of the showdown, Glen Helen Raceway, hosting a GP for the first time since 2011. And this year, it's the site of the MX2 showdown, after this happened in Mexico 1 week ago. With the MXGP title all sewn up and some fast wildcards looking to make a splash from the USA, there'll be excitement in both classes. It's after this race in MX2 where we will have our new world champion, and it will be one of our super fast teenagers, Paul Jonas on the Red Bull KTM or Honda Garibaldi's Tim Geiser.
It began with a bang as Herlings returned from injury and won in Qatar. He kept his head to do the same in Thailand, while Geiser fell foul of the rules and sat out race 2. Luck left Herlings in Argentina as he was collected by teammate Jonas, who went on to take his best result with second behind Ferrandis. Geiser caught the winning bug in Italy, beating Herlings straight up for his maiden victory. But Herlings still reigned supreme in the sand of Valkenswaard. Another rider came to the fore as Herlings hit the deck in Spain. It was Gio, who notched up his first overall. He backed it up with a daring win in the UK. And then the season went horribly wrong for Herlings. Crashes in Germany and Sweden put him out of the series. While Geiser began to rack up the points. As Jonas looked for his form, Anstey excelled in the sand and made it a 3-horse race as Jonas gained in confidence at home. Only for Anstey to crash in Lockett as Gio went from hero to zero with a win in Lockett and a crash in the sands of Lommel. Geiser stamped his authority on the series in Mantova as he passed Jonas in both races, but the KTM rider held on to the red plate. Then Assen happened, and Anstey fell once too often, and Jonas hit the ground hard. That gave Geiser the red plate, and from there, he never looked back. The gap is 18 points after Mexico, but there are a few local riders here who might just get in the way of the fight. Troy Lee KTM have Jesse Nelson, who normally runs the number 28 as the 79 this weekend. He's joined by his teammate Shane McElrath, who switches to 70 from his regular 40. Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki have Chris Aldrich moving from his usual 66 to 65 this weekend. In MXGP, Red Bull KTM is out in fourth as Marvin Muscan runs the 125 instead of his familiar 25 in his 450 debut. And Dean Wilson adds a 2 to the front of his regular 15. Josh Grant, a local specialist, has moved up to 35 from his national number of 33. Davey Millsaps is the 118 on his new BTO Sports KTM machine. Cooper Webb makes his 450 debut with the number 175, and Ben Townley gets to run his regular 101 as he warms up for the Nations. Jason Anderson, the 312, rounds out the top wildcards. Let's see what the course looks like with our championship leaders.
Romain Fèvre, number 461, Yamaha Factory Racing Yamalub, MXGP World Champion.
Tim Geiser, number 243, riding for Honda Garibaldi Racing Team, and I'm the leader in MX2.
Paul Jonas, number 41, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing Team, and I'm trying to win MX2 World Championship.
The usual length of a start straight on an MXGP circuit, around 75 or 85 metres long. But here at Glen Helen, it's considerably longer. And that first turn, the Talladega turn, is one of the most impressive on a motocross track. Riders head down into turn 2, over that step down. And you can see it's a very rutted left-hand turn, 180 degrees, and then the first of 3 steep inclines to take the riders around the side of Mount St. Helens, through this sweeping right-hander, a third of the way up, and then the riders turn right again before launching back down, straight to the bottom, to the infield section, under the footbridge, choice of 2 lines at the bottom of the hill. Second gear, third gear, again a short burst before hitting the first jump, and then it's back on the gas, really taking the power out of the motor as they head uphill under the Monster Energy banner into that tight right-hander, and then a step down takes us 20 stories back down the other side into a very hard braking zone. This corner here at the bottom of the hill, a little bit off-cambered, falling from left to right, the inside being the shortest route, and then again up the first hill onto a plateau, and then we have a double single combination on this ridge over a short sharp drop-off through the sweeping right-hander, and then into a very big Ippon step up into this 180 right. Hard on the gas, dropping back down over that small crest into this 180 left. Easy on the gas through there, very easy to light up the back end, but then we head up the hill, over a step, bounce your way over the tabletop on the corner, and then a fast speed drag downhill over the Monster Energy triple jump into another velodrome style turn. Exit there, and then we're straight into a wave section. 9 waves through this sweeping left-hander, takes the riders through 180 degrees. Choice of lines through there as well, and on the exit you can see it's a split rhythm section. Some riders will go to the inside, some will go to the outside, and then it will switch itself back up. Penultimate corner, final turn over the camelback, then the Monster Energy finish line jump. Then the riders hit this next rhythm section, triple, single, or some riders quadding. If they go quad, then it's out to the outside on the gas. That leaves them down the inside into what is the final turn on this racetrack. Again, a split rhythm section. Coming out of here, then it's a short drag over another double jump, and then the final step up takes the riders through the right-hander and back on the start straight to embark on another lap here at Glen Helen.
We'll get to MX2, but there's still some good racing to be had with the MXGP class, with the 2 Honda boys, Gauthier Paulin and Evgeny Bobryshev, fighting tooth and nail over second place in the championship. Neither of them had stellar performances on Saturday, with Bobryshev caught up in a turn 2 crash. Throw in the winner of the race, Josh Grant, on his Monster Energy Kawasaki, and 450 class rookie Cooper Webb, who came second in qualifying and will race the Motocross of the Nations on that bike. And you've most certainly got some fantastic racing for the last 2 MXGP races of the season.
Josh Grant, Cooper Webb and Roman Fevre were the fastest qualifiers, but it was Cooper Webb who stormed to the foxhole shot in MXGP Race 1, closely followed by Tony Cairoli as Sean Simpson crashed out at turn 1. Cairoli was in the mood on his return from injury, briefly took the lead back from Webb, who duly responded. As the Yamaha rider took the lead from Cairoli, Josh Grant was also looking to find a way past the Italian. The three riders providing some great racing for the fans here at Glen Helen. Eventually, Grant found his way at the inside of Cairoli to get into second, and then he went after fellow American Webb. The two riders putting on a great show for the fans, but it was Webb who was being pretty tenacious in the opening race. Took the challenge to Grant. Grant bounced back as Fevre, fighting his way through traffic, moved past Gauthier Paulin to get himself into fourth. Then he found his way alongside Cairoli. And the Italian and the Frenchman challenged for third. Fevre eventually going through. He then had his eyes set on the guys ahead of him, Josh Grant and Cooper Webb. Jason Anderson was also having a great ride. He found his way past Cairoli on his way to fourth. Gauthier Paulin and Glenn Coldenhoff had their own little duel. Coldenhoff coming out in sixth, Paulin dropping to eighth. In the closing stage of the race though, Webb, Fevre, Grant all battled for the lead. Webb found his way into the lead, passing Grant, who started to drop backwards. Then it was a Yamaha 1-2. Roman Fevre with 2 laps to go, muscling his way past the young American to take the lead on his factory Yamaha. And it was Fevre who was victorious in race 1. Webb second, Grant was third. There's a great drop for race 2. It was Tony Cairoli on the Red Bull KTM who streaked ahead of everybody else to grab the foxhole shot on the exit of the Talladega turn. Webb was right there in second, and it wasn't long before Webb found his way past Cairoli, but Cairoli wasn't about to lay down. Found his way back past Webb briefly, started to pull clear of the American, whilst behind him Josh Grant, Evgeny Bobryshev was starting to go bar to bar. Bobryshev third place in the championship confirmed behind his teammate Gauthier Paulin after his results in race 1. A mistake from Webb saw him go left instead of right at the top of the hill. That allowed Fevre an easy route through, and Fevre then went after Bobryshev. They battled for third behind Cairoli. Bobryshev found a way through. Eventually, so too did Roman Fevre. It was this pass at the inside that saw Fevre go through. Cairoli then dropped out of the race, but Fevre had one thing on his mind, trying to win this American Grand Prix. Glenn Coldenhoff circulated in 6th. Van Hoorbeek was 7th in the final race of the year, and Gauthier Paulin again just inside the top 10 in 8th. But Josh Grant was putting on a spectacular display for the home fans here. Tried to pull clear of Roman Fevre, and it was the USA versus Europe. Evgeny Bobryshev came under pressure from Cooper Webb. Webb eventually going through into third. And towards the end of the race, Bobryshev lost out to Dean Wilson, the Russian having to settle for 5th. 2 laps to go. Fevre lost the front end, lost too much time, and that was enough to give Josh Grant an easy route to the checkered flag. He was the winner in race 2. Fevre was second, Webb third, but the overall belonged once more to Roman Fevre for the 8th time this season. 2 Americans though, Grant and Webb rounded out the podium. Fevre, Paulin and Bobryshev, the top 3 in the 2015 MXGP World Championship standings. It was also goodbye for the 2008 MX2 World Champion Tyler Rattray, who crossed the line to hang up his boots for the final time.
I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I think after the second moto, maybe it'll hit me then on Sunday. It's all I've ever known since I was 5 years old is to race motorcycles. And growing up as a kid, you do it because you love it, and you know you go down to the local track and you race there. And then it's been a long journey. It's been a bumpy road. It's been a smooth road at times, but you know, definitely feel that from my body and myself that I'm ready to retire.
After a career in Europe and America for Rattray, there is no better place to retire than at the USGP here in Glen Helen.
I've got no regrets. I've always worked hard, managed to win a world championship, race for championships here in America. So definitely think, you know, it's time now that, you know, a lot of young guys are coming up now and pushing the edge and pushing the level higher. And you know, I've been in that position. I've been, you know, 22, 23, you know, pushing the level higher, and when I was over in Europe racing the GPs and also over here racing in America. No better place to be to end it off. I've made a lot of great friends in America, met a lot of great people here in the States, and obviously got my Europe family with me. So, you know, from where it all started back in 2000, looking forward to ending it off.
Welcome back to Glen Helen in the USA. MX2 has had yet another year of unpredictable racing, and it stayed that way here on Saturday. Geiser managed to keep his bike upright and qualified in 3rd position, whilst the worst possible scenario happened for Paul's Jonas when his engine cut out as he was pushing for 2nd place. That means he'll be trying to win the title from the very last gate pick on the outside. It's toe curling stuff. This is the moment we've been waiting for, the MX2 World Championship, the title decider. Jonas versus Geiser. Only one winner. This is MX2.
Shane McElrath might have been fastest in the qualifying race, but as the riders charged into turn 1, it was Harry Kulas on the Wilvo Nastan factory Husqvarna who grabbed the foxhole shot. But both the Americans on the Troy Lee Lucas Oil Red Bull KTMs, McElrath and Jesse Nelson, were right there behind him. Nelson almost jumping into the back of Harry Kulas, but eventually, halfway around the lap, Nelson was through, and so too was McElrath. Kulas had been bumped down to 3rd as the two Americans looked to pull away from the rest of the field. Another American in 3rd place was Chris Aldridge on the Pro Circuit Kawasaki as Tim Geiser slipped from 4th. He picked himself up, but right under pressure from Kulas and Jonas. Jonas eventually went through with that hard move, got himself into 4th around about the midpoint of the race. Geiser, though, knowing the title was on the line, went straight back after the young Latvian rider on the Red Bull KTM, blasted around the outside and thought he got the job done. But Jonas responded, briefly found his way back in, and made a mistake up the hill, and Geiser was back in 4th place. For a while the two banged bars, but up front Aldridge found his way past McElrath and split the two KTMs. Either way you looked at it, it was an American 1, 2, 3. Valentin Guillot then found his way up to 5th, as Jonas started to fade backwards, hitting the wall, fading in the heat. Anstey on a charge was joining the mix as well. He'd got Guillaume in his sights and also Geiser. He made this pass on Geiser at the bottom of the hill and went after Guillaume. And these two still battling for third in the championship, Anstey and Guillaume. So a lot on the line for these two. With Nelson up front and looking super smooth. Aldridge in second, McElrath in third. The Americans giving the fans what they wanted, but on the line it was Anstey who stole fourth from Guillaume. Coming into the second race, the gap between Geiser and Jonas was now out to 22 points. All Geiser needed to do was just finish the race. But it was Jesse Nelson who grabbed the foxhole shot in the final MX2 race of the 2015 season. Behind him, Thomas Covington and Jeremy Seawer. Max Anstey didn't make too bad a start, but then he slipped out going up the first hill and left himself with a lot of work to do. Meanwhile, Covington and Aldridge took each other out at the bottom of the first hill. They too would have a lot of work to do. But up front, once again, it was the two KTMs of Nelson and McElrath who were setting the pace. McElrath passing Geiser here at the end of the first lap to get himself into second behind his teammate. And once again, all eyes on the two KTMs of Nelson and McElrath. Geiser was circulating in third pretty comfortably until he made that mistake up the side of Mount St Helens, allowing Guillaume to take third place, which is where the Swiss rider would go on to finish at the drop of the checkered flag. But Paul Jonas, after starting in fifth, found Jeremy Seawer going past him. Seawer went into fifth, Jonas then dropped down to sixth, just ahead of Harry Koulas. But it was Jesse Nelson who took the final checkered flag of the year in MX2 ahead of his teammate Shane McElrath. But Tim Geiser crossed the line in fourth and with it took the title in MX2. And it was Honda's first victory since Alessandro Puzar in 1995. 4 race wins, 5 Grand Prix victories. Tim Geiser is a 2015 FIM MX2 Motocross World Champion. But on the podium though, it was Jesse Nelson and Shane McElrath, Valentin Guillaume third, finishing on the podium in his final ever MX2 Grand Prix. But it was all about Tim Geiser today though, the Slovenian, picking up the crown at the final round. Well, we have our 2 world champions. There's just one more race to go. The big one, the Monster Energy Motocross for Nations in 1 week's time.
I can't wait to race the nation.
Team France is coming home.
I'm Gauthier Paulin, riding the number 1 in the home team.
MX of Nations gonna be awesome.